February 1917, Russia was still at war. Everyone blamed the Tsar because in 1915 he became commander-in-chief, which made him to blame for the 3 million deaths that occurred. On the 18th of Feb was the Putilov workers' strike. On the 23rd of Feb there was the International Women's Day, which led to a bread riot in Petrograd. On the 25th there was a citywide general strike. On the 26th the Petrograd garrison refused to fire on the strikers. On the 27th, the Provisional Committee and the Petrograd Soviet were formed. On the 28th, the Tsar was refused to enter back into Petrograd. On the 1st of March, the Tsar offered to give the Tsarist position to his brother, in which he refuses. On the 2nd of March, the Tsar abdicates, and the Provisional Committee becomes a government. The Petrograd Soviet issues Order Number 1, which is that the provisional government is to be obeyed only if it doesn't contradict Soviet laws to do with military. In April, Lenin returns from Switzerland via a German train. He gives his April thesis, which includes him refusing to cooperate with the provisional government and rejects accommodationism to transfer power to the workers. In June, the provisional government wanted to get support home and abroad, so orders the June offensive as a last resort. This ended up in a mass desertion and 12,000 captured in one night.
In July, there were the July Days. This lasted from the 3rd to the 6th of July and was a reaction to the failure of the June offensive due to how badly administered it was. These marches involved 20,000 Kronstadt sailors, and during this time the Bolsheviks hesitated. The second march was on the 4th of July and Bolshevik leaders were arrested, and on the 6th of July Lenin fled to Finland. In September there was the Kornilov affair. Kornilov was a general in the army and he marched to Petrograd to try and solve the unrest. Kerensky panicked and asked people for help as he was unsure if Kornilov was trying to overthrow him. So to get support, Kerensky released the Bolsheviks from prison and set up the Red Guard army, which included 10,000 factory workers and was a private Bolshevik army. Kerensky's response to the Kornilov affair was to set plans for a constituent assembly to be set up, and the elections were to be held on the 12th of November. He also created a pre-parliament which had a variety of different parties, but failed due to the fact that the Bolsheviks intruded on a lot of the proceedings, and this showed that democracy and Kerensky will be. In October, the Bolsheviks' newspaper Pravda was shut down on the 23rd of October, and the leaders were arrested and rounded up by Kerensky. So Lenin decided it was time for revolution. On the 24th, the Bolsheviks took over Petrograd garrison. On the 25th and 26th, the Bolsheviks tried to occupy government buildings. While they did this, the provisional government hid in the Winter Palace, and the Bolsheviks arrested the government minister, and it was a bloodless coup. On the 28th of October, the All-Russian Congress of Soviets had its first meeting, and Mensheviks and right SRs walked out due to the Bolsheviks' power, and left SRs and Bolsheviks had the power. In October, Lenin released a decree on peace which wanted democratic peace and appealed to the warring countries. Also, in November, he released a decree on land which stated that the Bolsheviks gave approval for the peasants overthrowing the landowners in the countryside. Secondly, in November, he released a decree on control of workers, which approved the workers taking control of factories but wanted strictness and discipline going forward.